Forced to work from home by your employer? Laid off or feeling depressed at home? Do you want to make money working from anywhere? We'll show you how to do it from your couch. It's time for another episode of the Work From Home Show. Coming to you from their homes in Austin, Texas and Tampa, Florida, here are your hosts, Adam and Naresh.
Welcome back to another episode of the Work From Home Show, coming to you from my house in Tampa Bay. I'm Naresh, and coming from Austin, right, Adam?
Oh yes, I haven't gone anywhere. Nope, still in Austin.
Still in Austin. I don't think any of us have gone anywhere. No, seriously, I don't think I've driven more than 10 miles from my house over the
10
past.
miles. That's going a long way.
Yeah. Why did I have to drive that far?
I don't know. I went about 3 last Sunday.
Oh, you drove 3. 10, actually maybe like 7 miles, because the main freeway in Tampa is, it's like a 6-mile drive from our house. We don't live next to the main freeway. We live next to a tollway, but so yeah, it's kind of strange. And I gotta say, Adam, that's one of the things working from home. Like, all these people are now working from home, right? Like, pretty much the entire, not necessarily working, but locked down at home. And so I was driving the other day, and I got to warn our listeners, if you get behind the wheel during these times, be careful. You'd expect, okay, nobody's on the road, it's going to be an easy breeze. No, that is, at least here in Florida, there are legitimately people who are trying to get hit by you. I saw it right in front of my eyes. I was in a Taco Bell parking lot, and this woman was in her car, and she was illegally parked behind another car, and she was just waiting for that car to back up right into her car. And guess what? It did.
Jeez.
And so I was right there in the drive-through line, and I roll down my window just to hear what's going on. And the woman says there was like no damage to her car. Like, I could see there was like almost nothing. And she was like, "You have to pay me $1,000. Like, this $1,000 worth of damage to my car. You need to pay me right now in cash." Like, that was her legitimate words. And I just got it was like free Doritos Locos Tacos Day. So I just got my free Doritos taco, and I said, you know what? All the more reason to stay at home. Like, there are all sorts of people they're coming up with all sorts of ways to make money.
Man, you're risking coronavirus for Taco Bell. You're a different food guy than I am.
Well, it is only dry. They sent me an email when I got this promo. It was like what they're doing to sanitize their rrestaurant and how their employees are clean and they have to wash their hands this many times. And
man, I mean that Taco Bell.
Well, so I thought about it. I was like, you know what, is it safe? Then I said, you know what, it's Taco Bell. They're publicly traded. They've been my favorite restaurant since I was like 4. And I've been stuck at home eating. So I said, all the restaurants are shut down. I really need my Doritos taco. Really, really need it. So just be careful out there, guys. It's not just the Wuhan virus that can get you. There are all sorts of it's tough economic times, and people are bleeding. So just be careful, and be glad that you're listening to us so we can help you along this journey. Adam, so let's read some reviews. We've gotten some. Our 18 listeners are really they want their free books. That's what they want.
That's worth it.
So Ford, not the car, Ford wrote a review saying, "These guys are great. Awesome info on how to thrive at home." Thank you for that. Nice
Checks
review.
in the mail.
Yeah, so you'll be getting your free copy of one of my books. The next person, so that was Ford. Now we have Sally. So we talked before about how we have so many women listeners. Sally said, "Very relatable topic. Helpful when this situation drastically changed our lives. Thanks for keeping us sane." Wow, that's quite a compliment. I never knew I had that skill of keeping people sane.
Well, that was the title of one of our episodes, so.
That's true. That is absolutely... And you know what, that episode, tell you, we've gotten some emails about that from people talking about how they're having roommate problems, marital problems. Man, Adam, I heard a wild... This was not from a listener, but a wild story about somebody who having issues with, I guess, his spouse or his girlfriend, and the spouse wanted him out of the house because she didn't like him. So she said, I've got coronavirus, and started charging to, like we did that episode about the crowbar, the guy charged with the crowbar. Yeah. She charged with her coronavirus and was like, I've got coronavirus, and started charging towards him, and he ran out. He ran out of the house and just drove as far away as possible. And she probably didn't even have it, but that's like a new weapon.
Yeah, there was a woman arrested just the other day for Facebook Living down the street saying she thought she had coronavirus. She'd been tested but hadn't gotten the results back, and this, that, and the other, and the police showed up, and she did the same thing. She coughed at the police, and she got arrested and charged with assault of an officer.
Was that in the U.S. or in France? I saw a video of a woman in France coughing at the police. US. Okay, so maybe, I guess that's another popular thing to do, cough at the police. Because I did see a video out of France where a woman, I don't know the background to it, but the headline said, like, woman with Wuhan virus coughs at cops. And so you watch a video and she's just coughing all over this cop. And I was like, wow, even the cops can't really, they're the ones with the guns, but I don't think you can pull your gun out because somebody coughed at you.
Oh, I'll give you one guess what state she was from.
Florida.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That checks out.
Yep, that checks out. Yeah, these stories, we talked a little bit with like previous guests about like the rise in marital issues, divorces, and like divorce attorneys are working from home pretty hard. We've got some divorce attorney listeners. And it's like now they're using this as a weapon against their spouse, like kick them out of the house. It's like, whoa, like who would have ever thought that somebody who does not like their roommate or their spouse or whoever would use like a cough to kick them out of the house forever? Like, wow.
Yeah.
Never would have thought. Here's another review from Matthew. Matthew, thanks for writing in. He said, this is a great show and podcast. Nice and short review. So thank you, Matthew, for the kind review. Very elaborate. Very nice explanation. So, Adam, we talked last week. This is kind of like a part two to last week because we've had so many emails and comments about banks and the Tiger King. So regarding the banks, I actually spent my Saturday helping people apply for these new the CARES Act loan, the forgiveness program, the grants. And what I've learned, and again, I didn't volunteer for this. It just kind of happened because I guess people either heard the show or they heard me talking about it, and they're like, hey, like, can you like tell me more about this? Like, I heard something about on the news, and I'm like, dude, you're at home locked down. Like, you have all the time in the world. What have you been doing? And of course, they're watching Tiger King. But anyway, I helped probably like 4 or 5 people, somewhere around there, because they had no idea how to apply. The ones who were trying to apply, they were completely being taken advantage of, and they didn't know that they were being taken advantage of. And it's really an offshoot of the rant I had last week about these banks. Because first off, we had a listener email us saying that there are business owners who don't know how to use the internet. So they have to go into the bank branches. And that's actually something that we didn't think about that, Adam. Like people who don't know how to use the internet, who can't type properly, who maybe don't have online banking. Yeah, what else are they supposed to do to apply for these?
Yeah, we millennials don't think about that.
We don't. That was very inconsiderate of me and ignorant of me. But at the same time, Adam, at the same time, I will say those business owners who have not adapted to the 21st century, who did not adapt personally, and who did not adapt their businesses to the modern day, to the digital environment, they're not going to survive. I hate to break it to them, but the fact that you're not even able to get a simple government grant or loan because you don't know how to use a computer, it's just going to be extremely, extremely difficult to survive. I don't care if you run a restaurant. I don't care if you clean houses. I don't care if you run a motel. If you don't know how to use these tools, because this is 21st century literacy. It really is. Literacy is no longer being able to read and write. It's being able to read, write, speak, and use a computer efficiently. And I would also add speak English, like knowing English, because I think English is the world reserve language, no matter what country you're from. Yeah. We went to Cuba like 3.5 years ago. If you spoke English, you got the best job Cuba had to offer, which was being a waiter. No joke. Like, people in Cuba aspire to become waiters, because if you become a waiter, now you can wait tables at a tourist restaurant, and the tourists are going to tip you, and they tip you in like US dollars.
Tipping, yep.
And so you end up making more money than the doctors in Cuba, just because you can speak English. So, you know, the listener is right in that not everybody knows how to use the internet, so they have to go into a bank branch to get a banker to help them fill out the application. But all I'm saying is, look, you're right, but good luck to those people. Good luck.
Yeah. I mean, moving forward, it's going to get a lot rougher. A lot rougher.
For that person's business, absolutely. I mean, they're not even, to be honest, they're probably not even going to have a business by the time this is all said and done. Or by the end of this year. So I had a friend, Adam, who now she knows how to use the internet. She's a business owner. But her bank, and she had two options. She said that she wanted to physically go to the bank because she felt more comfortable, you know, meeting somebody. So she went to the bank, and the people at the bank told her, like, her banker said, hey, like, I'm going to email you. Like, I have your email address. I'm going to email you the application. So she was emailed the application, and she calls me. And I said, what is it? Is this like a PDF or what? And she said, yeah, it's a PDF. I have to print it out, fill it out, scan it, and send it back to her. I was like, don't even bother doing it. Like, like, I legitimately spent my Saturday helping people. Like, these were my friends. And I felt like they were being completely taken advantage of. And I said, which bank is your business account linked to? Is it this bank who asked you to print out the paper, or is it a different bank? And she said, oh, it's actually a different bank. It's a Bank of America, you know, big Wall Street bank. I was like, screw this bank. You get on Bank of America, and you'll be done with your application in 10 minutes. You don't need to go to any branch or anything. So she was like, oh wow, thanks for the tip. So I'm on the phone with her. Well, guess what? She doesn't know, she can't log into her account because she hadn't logged into her online banking in like 5 years, and she forgot her password. So she got locked out of her account, and it said, you know, please call this customer service line to unlock your account. And right now is not the time to be on the phone with a bank or the government or the IRS. Forget about it. You're not going to get through. So these banks tried to make it easy. They said, look, all you need, if you need to have an online account, you just log in and you do the application. So like for you and me, Adam, easy stuff, right?
Yeah.
But you'll be surprised at how much of this world, they just don't do online banking. They don't remember their passwords. They don't, like, this is rocket science to them. That's what I learned helping my friends with the applications. I was like, what do you guys, like, it's not like you're busy working, you know, all the events got canceled. Like, this person happened to be in the hospitality business. I was like, it's not like you have any events. Like, you know, what's going on?
Yeah,
what do you know? She was watching Tiger King.
Yeah, I mean, that's what Google Chrome's for, is to tell you everything all your passwords.
Yeah, and so people, they just don't know, like, the loans that are available, the grants that are available out there, who qualifies, where to find out more information. We've done some episodes on finding answers to questions. And look, the internet is your best friend. The internet is absolute. Put in the extra 5 minutes to just go on the internet and read an article to figure it out, because again, this ties into the whole work from home economy. Because right now, I truly believe if you're thriving right now, or if you can find ways to improve yourself right now when you're at home, you're going to come out better than this. But if you're one of those people who is the opposite of that, I'm not sure you're going to come out of this better than you were before. I think you're only going to come out of this. It's not going to be good, because industries are changing. Like in a matter of 4 months, a bunch of industries are going to have changed. And we've talked about that on previous episodes, like commercial real estate, for example, right? Yeah. In a matter of 4 months, it's going to have gone from being the hot thing to like nobody wants to buy it.
Absolutely. I mean, there's going to be so many industries that why would you even want to touch them? I mean, they're going to be radioactive. It's just...
Yeah.
I mean...
So, it's... I just... Man, sometimes I'm just stumped. I'm just like, I can't believe the world's been operating like this, and it took this virus to kind of wake people up. And the banks, these local regional banks that I've been harping on, they're not off the hook by any means. Like, I get it, people who don't know how to use the internet, that's what you guys are for. Because the Wall Street banks, they said straight up, if you look at their guidelines, it says you're not allowed to come to our branch to apply for it. It has to be, you log into your account and you do it. That's how they kept the number of people down, so that their employees focus on the parts of the business, the parts of the business that are most important to them, instead of doing data entry on a bunch of paper applications. So, good for those banks, the Wall Street banks that everybody hates. Well, they got their shit together. These other banks, I could not believe that they're still doing paper. At least they use email to email the stuff. They didn't have to go physically pick up the application.
I guess your baby steps.
Baby steps. But they're not going to survive. We talked about that on the last episode. We talked about it. So, any final thoughts on that, Adam?
No, let's get into the loans.
So the actual loans itself. So there are two primary loans. One is called the CARES Act, and the CARES Act, you are eligible to get a loan that's 2.5 times your average monthly payroll plus utilities plus rent. Okay? And maybe there are a couple of other items. Really, you can just go to your latest tax return, and I think this is what the government does. They go to your tax return and they add up like 3 line items that are on there, and then they probably divide that by 12, and then they multiply it by 2.5. They either do that, or they look at your latest quarterly filing. So you have to provide your quarterly filings if you're like an S Corp or a C Corp, not an LLC, because on an LLC you don't have to do payroll. So they look at like your latest quarterly filing. I sent all my quarterly filings from 2019, and they'll just multiply that by 2.5, and that's the loan that you're eligible for. Now, that loan is forgivable. So if you continue operating your business like you've been operating, paying yourself the same that you paid yourself the previous quarter and operating it as if it's a going concern, then the loan will be forgiven. And so you don't have to pay any. It's basically, it converts into a grant. So it's a pretty cool kind of stimulus for small businesses. And the idea here is, look, the government is just trying to get money flowing through the economy. At the end of the day, it's like, okay, why is the government doing this? Why are they just like pretty much giving out free money? Because they give out the money and it's going to be put into the economy.
Yep.
It's just, no matter how wealthy you are, you could be super rich, super poor, like the money that you get is going to be used mostly for pay. Really, this is meant for payroll. So it's going to come out of the business into an individual's paychecks, or if you're a business owner, like your paycheck from your own company, and then it's going to be put in to the economy.
That's the plan. I mean, that's the quickest way is through the individuals and through the business owners.
Absolutely.
Not to the
and
massive corporations.
And so the application for this one is because it's not through like the SBA or through a government site. It's through the bank. So it's through like if you have a business bank account, whichever bank it's with, you just contact them. Like my business that qualifies for this is with Bank of America. So, but my house mortgage is through SunTrust, and I contacted SunTrust first, and they were like, no, you have to go through the business bank because that streamlines the process, right? Like what we've talked about, where you just log in and the application's right there, and you click a button and you fill out the application. It takes like 10 minutes, and that way Bank of America, their computers go in and they can automatically see your account. They already have all your information. They can see your records, your transactions. They have access to all that data. So they're able to only take care of their customers. So the qualification for that was you must have online banking and you must have a line of credit with the bank as well. So two qualifications. So a line of credit meaning it could be a mortgage, it could be a credit card. I have a credit card with them. So that's why I qualified. So again, the issue then becomes, oh, well, what if you don't have a credit card? Then how do I apply? And so apparently people have gotten basically kicked off from their bank because they didn't have that line of credit. So they had to go to a private banker. They have to find it on their own and get it done. And that can be pretty tough. For a guy like me, I'll figure it out. But like for these people going into bank branches, they'll probably just give up and be like, I guess I can't get the money. The Treasury Secretary came out and he said that when we see that the funds are running out, we're going to immediately, get Congress to pass a second round, and we want to make sure that every small business owner has access to these funds. So I'm not worried about the government passing another round. The other loan is a disaster. It's a SBA disaster loan. It's part of the SBA COVID-19 relief, disaster relief. And this one is meant for businesses that don't have payroll. So if you have an LLC, for example, and you don't take payroll, most LLCs don't take like a formal payroll, then you can apply for this loan. And it actually starts out as a grant. So this one, same thing. I think this application took me 10 minutes. So the other one took me 5 minutes. The Bank of America one took me 5 minutes. This one, because Bank of America already had all my information on file, so it was a lot easier. This one is through the SBA. It took 10 minutes. And I did have to go through my latest tax return for my LLC and provide that information. And look, I have no idea if I'm going to be approved for these programs. I have no clue. But what's a hurt in applying? It's like applying for anything in life, Like, you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take.
Yeah, I'm on this site right now trying to do it, and my biggest problem is finding the whole business activity and detailed business activity. I'm assuming it's the same as on my tax return, and I'm having trouble finding the appropriate business activity that lines up with my taxes.
Yeah,
that's my issue.
Well,
because it doesn't correspond perfectly. So yeah, I'm gonna have to figure that out. But otherwise, yeah, absolutely, go for it.
Go for it. Just go for it. And if you get rejected, all right, you get rejected.
Yeah, and if you're sitting there thinking, yeah, but I don't need it, this, that, and the other, you know what? They might give you $10,000. They're going to give some massive corporation who all they spent with their last money was stock buybacks. They're going to give them billions of dollars.
Well, I don't think any people who say that, oh yeah, I don't want to get free $10,000 because I don't deserve it. Some of the wealthiest people I know are applying for these grants and loans, right? So there's no hurt in doing it. And this one, it starts with a $10,000 grant if you qualify. And then if you need additional capital on top of that because your business, needs a capital, then they have some very low interest loans that you can get access to.
Yeah, I think it's 1% right now.
Well, this one I think is a little more. So the other one, the CARES Act one, that one I think was like 1%. This one, the disaster loan assistance, I think this one is somewhere like 4%, somewhere around there, like 3.85, maybe 4, which is still a super low interest rate for a business loan.
Yeah.
So yeah, I helped again, I told people about this. They had no idea. They had no clue. No, they were just like, man, how do you know about it? I'm like, it's all over like the news. And they're like, oh, well, it's on Facebook. All I'm saying is Tiger King on Facebook. So don't be one of those people who just, it's put in the time, put in the effort. I mean, it's a learning experience. I've learned. That's how I know about these. And that's why I'm sharing it.
It's worth the shot because, if you're not supposed to get it, they'll turn you down.
Yeah. It's just like any other application. You apply to Harvard. Go right ahead, apply. If you're not good enough, they'll reject you. Big deal. You could get in, though. Could.
Yeah. Worst they can say is no. That's what I tend to tell myself.
Yeah. So, that's pretty much it for the loans, Adam. Any questions? It's all online. So people might be asking, okay, the first one, you go in through your bank. This one, where do you go? Just type in SBA disaster loan COVID on Google. Type it in. It's the first thing that's going to come up. SBA disaster loan COVID. Or just SBA disaster loan. It's going to come up. Go for it. Speaking of Tiger King.
Oh, God.
We got some emails about the great Tiger King, Adam. It turns out that over 150 million people worldwide have watched Tiger King. Can you believe that?
Based on what I've heard, yes.
Well, to put that number into context, these are all people at home, right? They're stuck at home, so they're watching Tiger King. A blockbuster hit generally has 10 million people watch it in theaters or at home. So if you combine theaters plus home, 10 million people, or it makes more than $100 million at the box office or franchise sales. So franchise sales would be like, deals with Netflix. They used to be like VHS sales, DVD sales. So it cracks $100 million or have more than 10 million viewers. Tiger King, more than 150 million people worldwide.
Like Avengers Endgame numbers.
It's, to me, that's just like, wow, that's impressive for them. And I heard, I don't know if this is true, it's just, there are all sorts of rumors flying around this, that they're going to come out with a movie now.
That wouldn't surprise me at all.
It's
strike while the iron's hot.
Yeah, go for it. And, good for Joe Exotic. He reminds me, Adam, you like baseball. Did you ever watch Eastbound and Down?
No, I didn't. I've heard about it, but I just never...
Okay, yeah. He just reminds me... So, Kenny Powers from Eastbound and Down, he's like one of my favorite people of all time.
Yeah,
he's not
I
real.
saw a meme saying if they don't cast him, then there's no point to life or something like that, basically.
Cast Kenny Powers as
Joe Exotic.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I did not see that, but I thought I was the only guy. Joe Exotic reminds me of a gay Kenny Powers. Like, that's who we... And Kenny Powers is like one of my top 3 most favorite people of all time. He's like very inspirational to me. I would Krish Media and Marketing would not be where it is today without the great Kenny Powers. So, but then we got a few other questions and emails as we wrap up this episode about my being on the board, Hillsborough County Sheriff's Advisory Council, and how I got involved with the police department here in the Tampa Bay area.
Yeah, so, you narc.
Well, first thing is I would not be involved if it weren't for working from with anything. We've done episodes before about how working from home frees up time, and it's almost like you have this itch. You're done. 6 o'clock comes around, 6 p.m., and you're like, okay, what do I do for the rest of the night? And in my case, it was, play basketball, play tennis, get involved in the community. So that's one of the huge benefits of working from home. But if you have tips on what happened to Carol's husband and you want to share them with me so I can share them with our Sheriff Chad, hello@workfromhomeshow.com. hello@workfromhomeshow.com. Our Sheriff Chad with the Hillsborough County Police, I mean, he comes to our advisory board meetings once in a while. And I got involved because I just kind of was bored at home and wanted to do more in the community, wanted to get involved. Actually, what really happened was after the financial crisis in 2009, I'm Indian, as I'm sure that's a shock to many of our listeners, but a lot of Indians started getting their homes broken into around country. And people were stealing jewelry because we tend to, I mean, it's just kind of how we're known. We have jewelry. And one of the issues really across the country was, look, like the police department does so much for the Hispanic community, for the Black, the African American community, for like all these other communities. But when we have something happen to us, they just come in, take a police report and leave. You know, nothing ever happens. So they created this like Indian advisory board to the sheriff's office. And now our voices are heard. So we were assigned an Indian police. He's like the one Indian police officer in the entire police department. And he's assigned to us. So if something ever happens to not just an Indian person, but like if a friend of mine, it's like, okay, I know who to call. You know, my buddy at the police department, he'll immediately come over and take care, give us the attention that we deserve, you know? And that's why I wanted to get involved. So that's how I joined the board, found out about it. And our sheriff is, I don't know, it's a little weird. I don't know if you know your sheriff are you in Round
No.
Rock or no?
No, I'm down in South Austin. No,
South
I do not
Austin.
know our sheriff. I couldn't even tell you his name. Or her
Yeah,
name.
well,
I have no idea.
our sheriff is, I'll tell you, the guy is slick. Like he was at the White House a couple of weeks ago with Trump taking pictures. He's married to one of the DeBartolo daughters. I don't know if you've heard of the DeBartolo family. They own the 49ers.
That's where my mind was taking me, is the 49ers, yeah.
Yeah, so I won't be surprised if our sheriff Chad becomes mayor of Tampa someday, maybe even like governor of Florida. He's very young, and yeah, you know, but he's the guy who held the press conference about Joe Exotic and Carol and how, you know, what happened to her husband and all that. So hello at workfromhomeshow.com. If you have any comments, questions about anything, work from home, about the banks, the banking, the loans, the grants, Tiger King, hello at workfromhomeshow.com. We want to thank you guys once again for tuning in. Really means a lot to us. Our show is catching on. We've gone from, you remember back in our 5 listen, I remember our first episode had 1 listen. You remember that? I think it was it your mother-in-law? I think that was who.
No, it was your wife.
Oh, no, it was not. She came around like the second episode.
Oh, yeah, my mother-in-law said you cuss too much.
Yeah. So we've come a long way, you know, 1 to 10 to 18, you know, I'll take it. Adam, any final parting thoughts on our, you know, this kind of banter episode?
Yes, as we said before, don't go to your bank, go online.
Just in general, like the point of our show is don't go to your office. Go on. Stay at home. Don't, you know, just don't meet with that person. Do it on Skype. Do it on phone. Do it on... The entire premise of our show, and this is why it irks me so much, is it's not just working from home. It's that so many things that we do in life can be done easier. It can be digitized. It can be done at our fingertips. And it just really pained me to see my friends, they had no idea what loans were available to them, what grants were available to them. B, if they did know about it, they had no idea how to apply for it. All right? C, if they knew how to apply for it, they were only given one way to apply for it. There might be 3 different ways to apply for it. And so they didn't know all the ways to apply for it. And once they did know that, it was, number 4, it was a completely old school, you know, paper system way of applying for it, which delays the process, all sorts of, I mean, it's a time issue. It's too much. And I don't like seeing people struggle. That's why I like helping people out. That's why we created the podcast, to help you guys out.
Okay. I found the EIDL loan rates currently, the SBA loans. It's 3.75% for small businesses and 2.75% for nonprofits.
Can't imagine we have too many nonprofit listeners.
Yeah, I agree. But, you know, just in case.
Yeah. Well, 3.75.
If you're on the board of a nonprofit and you're all are, you know, if you're working from home and you're on a board like you are and the organization needs money to, do the services they need to provide. You can get a 2.75% loan. So,
well, even the 3.75%, that's a great deal on a small business loan.
Mm-hmm.
That's, I mean, Adam, on the mortgage side, getting a 3.75% loan.
That's insane.
Is right now, that's considered a great deal. So if you can get it on a small business loan, 2.75%, and if you need it, then go for it. Look, we are in a completely, it's an anomaly what's going on in our world. This is a complete anomaly. Strange things are happening. The government's doing strange things to help us. It's weird. It's really weird. But just pay attention and don't be one of those people 10 years from now and you're like, man, if I only filled out that 5-minute application, man, I'd be, $10,000 richer. Don't be one of those people, because that's one of the things that I learned talking to people from 2008, 2009. And they said, man, one of the regrets I have is I just wasn't paying attention to what the government was doing. Apparently I qualified for a bunch of things and nobody told me about it. And even if they told me about it, I was just too lazy to fill out and back then they didn't have online applications. It must have been a little bit harder back then, but still, if there's a will, there's a way.
Absolutely.
That's what I got. So workfromhomeshow.com. Thanks again, guys, for listening. And until next time, keep on working from home.